I feel that one of the biggest questions that a lot of people ask or are starting to ask is how can I improve my self-image? How can I be good to myself? How can I treat myself better? Which is a very good question because you don't really, and you shouldn't have to, feel bad about yourself all the time, especially when you want to work on improving yourself. You shouldn't always have to be hard on yourself, be hating on yourself, be extremely bitter about everything you do. And one of the first ways that you can improve your self-image is just being patient. For example, in other words, don't be hard on yourself for making accidental mistakes that everybody makes. For example, maybe you're late somewhere, maybe you're late to work or you're late to school one day, and I don't know, your boss is getting mad at you or your teacher or professor is getting mad at you because you're 5 minutes late. Acknowledge the mistake you made and, learn to not make that same mistake again. But at the same time, don't beat yourself up for making a small mistake. Because ultimately, we're human and nobody's perfect. And that's okay. And so what this means is just give yourself some respect. And after all, every person deserves a sense of respect, even if that respect is only coming from themselves. Because ultimately, if nobody's going to respect you, then you have to prove to yourself that you deserve respect, which starts by you showing to yourself what respect looks like and basically the benchmark as to how other people should treat you. Another one of the big things is make your mind a friendly place. And what this means is avoid thinking negatively about yourself and hating who you are as a person, which is, one of the things just touching back on what I restated. Instead of hating on every part of you or every attribute that you have, it's the attribute, it just means quality. It's just a fancy word. Anyways, do some introspection and just do a deep dive into everything about you. For example, why do you get mad at the things you get mad at? Why do you like the things you like? Why do you think the way you do? Why do you react to things the way you react to them? And basically by doing this, or by doing all this introspection and through this process, the goal is to begin to determine what are the strengths that you have and what are the weaknesses that you need to fix or that need to be fixed. And once you determine what these weaknesses are or these bad qualities, then begin to search for ways that you can replace these weaknesses with strengths or be able to make these weaknesses less harmful to your life. And one of the big quotes I have, and because I have a set of notes to self that I have just as reminders whenever I feel that I'm sort of drifting away from what I like, the person I want to be, or the personality I want to have, if that makes sense. I think that's just kind of redundant for the person I want to be. But one of the one of the points I have in there is that no matter what, always be your own number one supporter and talk to yourself like a friend you truly care about. Because if you talk to yourself like a friend you truly care about, you're not going to be hating on them. You're not going to be saying nasty things to them. You never, you never treat them horribly, or again, you never say nasty things or kick them down when kick them when they're down, and be bitter and caustic and just outright mean. So then why would you say those things to yourself? Why would you be bitter to yourself and treat yourself horribly when you don't deserve it? And another big thing is set high standards and ambitious goals and work hard towards these goals, but don't get discouraged when you don't accomplish the goals you set out within a month or 2 months. It takes time to achieve hard things, you know. And it's like one of the famous things Kobe said was that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I get it. It's kind of cliche, whatever. It's kind of corny, but it's about, appreciating where you are now instead of being constantly fixated on where you're going. Because if you don't appreciate where you are now, you'll never be able to appreciate the destination, because you have the same mindset now, or you'll have the same mindset at the destination that you do now. Because you'll be like, oh yeah, I don't appreciate my point in time right now. Even when I achieve it, don't get me wrong, you'll achieve a moment of satisfaction and pleasure that you got there, but then it fades away, because then you start to think, what next? I didn't appreciate what was going on in the moment. And so now, since the perspective hasn't changed, then the question becomes, what next? What now? I achieved this thing, so what now? And then most likely you'll begin to not be happy again, because then you're trying to find a new thing to attribute your purpose to. Another big thing that could help improve your self-image is, instead of tolerating hate from your friends or even your family, if it's bad enough, or your community, don't give time to people who don't appreciate what you have to offer. Because doing this will devalue your time, or it'll waste your time, and it'll devalue what you have to say. And I don't think anybody would want to devalue what they have to say, because that's basically just saying that other people think that, what you say is unimportant and what you do is unimportant, which nobody wants. Again, nobody wants that. And nobody should want that, if you're asking for my opinion. And this is where the quote, go where you're celebrated and not where you're tolerated, comes into play. Because if you go where you're celebrated, they'll value your time, they'll value your effort, they'll value what you have to say, because you're celebrated. But if you're just tolerated, they'll give you the time of day, maybe. They'll maybe listen to one thing you have to say, but they won't value what you have to say. There's a difference between listening to something and actually valuing it. Because, like, for example, let's say you have a show on TV that's going on, but then you're on Twitter on your phone. Odds are you're not gonna be valuing the thing, or the TV show, the content that's on the TV show at that point in time, because you're on your phone, and your full attention is going to your phone. And so you're listening to what's on the TV, but you're not valuing it. I hope that discernment that dichotomy kind of helped you guys. And another one of my quotes I have, it's also from my reminders. I call them notes to self. And it says, never give time to people who don't appreciate what you have to offer. You only have 24 hours in a day, and you don't have to please everybody. Or you don't have to please everyone. And so it just means if people, again, it's just kind of touching on that point. If people are treating you poorly, you don't have to keep giving them the time of day. You don't have to keep giving them attention or talking to them or being around them. Because if they're not appreciating what you have to offer, then they're bringing you down. Because they're basically saying, I don't care what you have to say. I don't appreciate you enough to care what you have to say. And in some ways, that can lead into disrespect. Because then once you stop caring about what people have to say, then or people just do whatever they want. And the last thing I'd have to say is, instead of complaining about what you don't have, because I know it's easy to fixate or even just think about the things you don't have, because that's kind of the way that modern society is. It's all about, what do I not have? Oh, I don't have the iPhone 16. Oh, I don't have the Ferrari. Oh, I don't have the $1 million or the multi-million-dollar mansion. Or, oh, I don't have the smoking hot wife. Or I don't have, the 6 foot, 6-pack, 6 figures husband that society's telling me I should want, for the women's side. But instead, be grateful for what you do have. Because you will always be reminded that someone has less than what you have. Someone will always have less than what you have, no matter how bad it is. Because, for example, let's say you're below the poverty line, down and out for sure, living a pretty nasty life. I mean, yeah, it's bad, don't get me wrong. But then you could have terminal cancer. But then you look at the people who have terminal cancer, and they have 2 months left to live, 2 weeks left to live. Some may have even 48 hours to live. And then it kind of shows, it would show you that even though being poor would be terrible, you still get the gift of life. And that's what matters. The gift of life, above all else, is fundamental. Or not only is it fundamental, but it's monumental as well. Because it means that you're given a chance, you're given an opportunity to make a difference in this world, to leave the world better than where you found it, to help people, to help the world. Even if you're helping one person, it should be enough. I mean, if you ask me. If you ask me, it'd be enough, in my opinion. But, just improving the world. And, maybe if you help other people and you begin to improve their circumstances, even if it's very small, like in terms of the increments of the improvements, maybe they'll start to improve other people's lives, and they'll be inspired by what you've done and think to themselves, man, this guy improved, this guy helped me get out of this nasty point in my life. Excuse me. Maybe I can do the same thing with this person, or I can help this person in this way. And then it starts, it's this positive loop where people are always helping each other, and you get a place that is better than where you found it. So, yeah. Just help people, any way you can. If this if this video, excuse me, resonated with any of you guys or any of you, then feel free to give it a like or subscribe to my channel. And I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Take care.